Hello, everyone. I am Premonition, Premon, whatever you want to call me. And today we're watching a video on Tyler Catastrophe, TikTok's most delusional fan, finally exposed. I'm pretty sure this is a long one. This is a 36-minute video, so we're gonna be here for a little while. I might do a part two, probably not. And this video was made by DT is back. If you're watching this, make sure to go like, subscribe, do whatever you need to do.
Second to appreciate how great my ass looks in these jeans. I think we should all be talking about that, honestly. Why do I have a jewelry business when I can just have an ass?
Have you ever had
This is already going off to an absolutely horrible start.
a crush on a celebrity? Most people have, and most people handle it the normal way. They tell their friends say, "Aw," and then everyone moves on with their lives because there are groceries to buy and bills to pay, and the celebrity in question
Right.
does not know you exist, and that's just how it works. Tyler Catastrophe did not handle it the normal way. Tyler Catastrophe heard a man laugh in the background of someone else's video in 2019.
I have had a crush on Will Gold since 2019 when I heard him laugh in the background of someone else's.
You got a crush on someone because they laughed? Are you serious? Is that how that works? Well, okay. I am a I don't know. I've never gotten a crush on someone just from hearing them laugh. Never ever in my entire years of being alive on this beautiful, beautiful planet. Let's get back into
Video, and it felt like life itself leaned in to listen.
That was all it
Mm.
took. Something about that laugh
A
convinced
laugh.
Tyler he had found the person he wanted to spend his life with. To him, it was proof that every quality he wanted in a partner existed in one person. From that moment on, for the next 7 years,
7
nobody
years.
else was ever seriously in the running. Not the ex-fiancée whose engagement eventually fell apart. Not the one person he later described as genuinely wonderful but incompatible. Not the people who showed real interest in him along the way. None of them mattered, because Tyler had already made up his mind. The person he wanted was a musician living in Brighton, whose laugh he had.
Now, I don't know who Wilbur Sue is, actually. I have no idea who he is. I've seen a couple other videos like this, and I'm pretty sure he is a Minecraft YouTuber. That is what I'm pretty sure he is, a Minecraft YouTuber. But he just said that I think he used to be a Minecraft YouTuber, is what I should say.
Heard exactly once in the background of somebody else's video.
In this video, he's like, I am a one person, one love. Other people have had crushes on me. Other people have tried to ask me out, and I've been trying to go on dates.
What?
But I just can't. I just love Will Gold. And then in the same video, he goes, I'm trying not to be parasocial about this. You're a parasocial, fine.
Now,
Very
if this was the whole
parasocial.
story, we would not be here. A parasocial celebrity crush is strange, yes. A 7-year one that is actively getting in the way of real relationships is stranger, but the internet has seen stranger things and moved on.
Right.
What the internet could not move on from
That
was
is true, I
everything
guess.
else.
I do not think that Wilbur Soot is an abuser.
Because while
What?
Tyler had spent 7 years quietly building this
Oh!
fantasy, the man at the center of it was
So
becoming
he's
the
that
subject
type of guy.
an entirely different conversation. Wilbur, the Minecraft creator turned lead singer of the indie band Lovejoy, was accused by his ex-girlfriend in 2024 of abusive behavior. The allegations were detailed. People close to him publicly backed up parts of her account, in some cases without even realizing what they were confirming. Then Wilbur released a statement of his own, one that many people read as less of a denial and more of an apology from someone who hadn't fully accepted what he was apologizing for. Most people looked at all those allegations and came to their own conclusions. Tyler looked at the same allegations, described himself
As you should, in my opinion. Something I struggle with myself is kind of forming my own opinion on things. But if you're out there, that's what we all should aim to do in our lives. But from what I'm hearing, I haven't done any research, I don't know, but they're making it seem pretty obvious that he did indeed do this and that he
as a
is not
survivor of
innocent.
abuse, argued that his own experiences gave him a unique perspective, and uploaded a TikTok video explaining
What?
why he believed Wilbur Soot was innocent.
The video this comment is on is about how I do not think that Wilbur Soot is an abuser. And it took a lot for me to post it. I had to think a lot about how to say what I wanted to say.
But defending the
Hmm.
man he had spent 7 years obsessing over wasn't
Wow.
even the strangest thing
Oh,
Tyler
crap.
did. That distinction belongs
So
to
he
the
started getting
audition
threats
video.
over
The one where
this.
Tyler, who had been rebuilding
I also don't believe that is right. Don't go send threats to people.
his singing voice after a car accident, uploaded an unsolicited audition to become the second vocalist of Wilbur's band.
Oh,
We can make such a pretty picture.
oh no.
Oh, so happy.
Lovejoy never
Oh
responded. Tyler
no.
later insisted the audition had been a joke. Now, that wasn't just all to this obsession, because there was a GoFundMe. It was titled Help a Disabled Trans Guy Escape Texas with a
Oh,
goal of
he's trans.
$22,000. According to the campaign, Tyler had been given an incredible opportunity in England. There was supposedly a job waiting for him at an art studio, a chance to work alongside established artists. All he needed was enough money to make the move. There was only
Artist.
one problem. The job didn't exist. The
Keep in mind, guys. Keep in mind everything the very little, admittedly relatively reminiscent he said about his art so far. Bro, Tyler Catastrophe is not a good artist. Let me clarify about what I mean by that. Tyler Catastrophe. Yes, Tyler. Tyler is not a good enough artist when it comes to his portraits, at the very least, to be selling them for at least for how much he charges.
artist Tyler, credited for the opportunity, later released a public statement explaining what had really happened. Tyler had visited his studio for about 30 minutes in 2022. Stewart described him as polite and enthusiastic. When Tyler casually asked about work, Stewart gave what most people would recognize as a polite response, saying that if he makes it back to England, they would talk. According to Stewart, that
Okay.
wasn't a job offer. It wasn't even the beginning of one. It was simply an attempt to be encouraging,
Okay.
and he never expected it to become the basis for someone selling their belongings and launching a crowdfunding campaign.
Oh.
This entire drama sent Tyler into a frenzy because he was now on the brink of homelessness simply because the
One thing I hate about being white passing is that I feel so incredibly separated from the culture that I could be a part of if people didn't assume I was white or that I was lying when I tell them I actually half Portuguese. Is Tyler not white? Like my siblings and I have the exact same parents, so my little sister looks Hispanic, a carbon. I'm not reading this whole thing. But do you guys think he's actually half Portuguese? Is he not still like white though? I
job he believed
Let me
was waiting
stop.
for him in England had never been waiting for him at all. But by this point, the internet had stopped focusing only on Wilbur, Lovejoy, and the GoFundMe. People had started looking at Tyler himself, and they found a long list of identity claims that raised almost as many questions as everything else combined. Tyler describes himself as white passing because his father is Portuguese.
White
That
passing.
explanation immediately confused people. Portugal is in Europe.
Yeah, that confused me too. Oh, well, I didn't know that. So he would be white.
Portuguese is a nationality, not a separate racial category. The ancestry claims were even more ambitious. At various points, Tyler claimed to be descended from King Edward I of England, Queen Margaret of France, Robert the Bruce of Scotland, and Edgar Allan Poe. The Poe claim drew particular attention because Edgar Allan Poe had no children, and neither did any of his siblings, leaving historians with a fairly well-documented family line that ends in the 19th century.
Family history is very large and complicated, which of course has a lot of downsides, but
So she said that she was related to someone whose family didn't even have children. How embarrassing is that?
it does
This
have the small
I get
side of
such
being related to a lot of dead
I'm not
famous
getting it
people.
yet, but
Edgar
this
Allan
gives me such
Poe, Robert the
horrible
Bruce of
secondhand
Scotland, and
embarrassment.
apparently my uncle is
Not
currently
yet,
mapping another
but I can
family
tell it's
line.
gonna get
There was
there.
even a period when Tyler identified himself as Two-Spirit, a cultural and spiritual identity specific to many indigenous nations.
What?
Ranked myself as Two-Spirit as a way of honoring the weight of my own soul and the way it guides me home. With the blessing of my deadliest auntie, by the way.
That did not go over well with
Bro, people just be doing stuff to do it nowadays. I swear. Like, okay, bro.
indigenous creators who
People
challenged
just
the
do
claim
stuff to
almost
do it
immediately.
nowadays. I'm not
If
gonna lie.
you
They
are
really
not
do.
Native American or from Native American descent, you are not allowed to claim the term Two-Spirit. I don't care if you're from Oklahoma. I don't care if you are close to the tribe. I don't care if you are native adjacent. None of that matters.
By now, the conversation wasn't really about Wilbur anymore.
Right.
It wasn't about the audition or the fundraiser
I
or
mean,
even
I
the
know.
identity
That's what I'm
claims.
saying.
It became something much harder to explain. How
Uh-huh,
did a celebrity crush turn into an audition, a crowdfunding campaign, a non-existent job, royal bloodlines, indigenous
Exactly.
identity, and one of the internet's most bizarre rabbit holes? More importantly, and where exactly do you draw the line between delusion, self-deception, and simply telling yourself a story for so long that it
Right.
becomes impossible to separate it from reality? To fully wrap your head around
You gotta keep in mind though, there has to be. I almost feel pity for this guy sometimes. E- Almost. Keep in mind the word almost, because I don't feel any pity for him. But I almost get there sometimes when you put into consideration how absolutely deluded one has to be for these situations as a whole to even come about. It takes an extreme level of delusion for a lot of these things to happen, and it's just sad.
this character, Tyler Catastrophe, you first have to understand the person at the center of all of this. Will Gold, better known online as Wilbur Soot, or depending on which side of 2024 you're standing on, the Brighton Biter, a nickname the internet gave him after the allegations and one that
The
has followed him
Brighton
ever
Biter.
since.
Wow.
Before any of that happened, Wilbur was one of the biggest creators in the British Minecraft scene. His rise was unusually fast. He first gained attention through Soot House, a comedy channel where he and a group of friends reacted to Reddit posts and internet culture with a style of humor that quickly found an audience. The channel
It's
exploded,
good.
and Wilbur's audience grew right alongside with it. Then came the Dream SMP. If you weren't online during 2020, Dream SMP probably sounds like another Minecraft server. It wasn't. It
It
became one of
does.
YouTube's biggest collaborative storytelling projects, pulling in millions of viewers who treated the evolving roleplay almost like an ongoing
Oh,
television
it's a
series.
role play
Wilbur wasn't simply
series.
another player, he became
I actually never knew that Dream SMP was like a role play type of thing. I thought it was just Minecraft, like Minecraft, the videos where you have to hunt down one person, like the 5v1 type things. That's what I thought the whole Dream SMP was about.
one of its defining characters. His storylines were dramatic, his performances stood out, fans became deeply invested not only in the fictional character but in Wilbur himself. Now that audience followed him everywhere, including music. The side project quickly became something much bigger. Lovejoy wasn't a novelty band built around a YouTuber's audience. It became a legitimate success in its own right, selling out shows, attracting listeners
Oh,
outside the Minecraft community, and collecting tens of millions of streams. Heading back to October 2022,
that comment is a liar, and they know they are a liar, by the way.
Feats had the pleasure to cover live at Leeds in the city a venue hopping festival that is sure to discover tons of new talent. Here is where we saw Lovejoy. Fronted by Will Gold and composed of Ash Caboso, Joe Goldsmith, and Mark Boardman, this Brighton-based band are coming off the leg of their first Northern UK tour and exclusive London and Brighton dates, selling out each venue in sheer minutes. This is a band that you
Minutes.
don't want to miss. Playing their biggest hits, One Day and
That's
Sex
kind of
Cells,
nice.
joined with their trumpeters, Leandra and Zoe on stage, Lovejoy put on more than a show. By 2023, Wilbur had built something most internet creators never manage. He wasn't simply famous online anymore, he had become the kind of public figure people built communities around. And for one person watching from Texas, that admiration slowly stopped looking
Like, why, bro? Why would you ever even post this, bro?
like admiration and started becoming something
Like, you're posting thirst traps?
else entirely. By early 2024, Wilbur Soot had built the kind of career most internet creators spend years chasing. Lovejoy was selling out shows, his audience stretched well beyond Minecraft, he had millions of followers, a successful band, and one of the most loyal fan communities on the internet. But then everything changed.
Hello. I want to
Mm.
talk about something today that I'm very nervous. I feel sweaty. I had a sweater on, I had to take it off.
On February 21st, 2024, creator Shelby Grace, better known as Shubble, went live to talk about an abusive relationship. She never said the man's name. She didn't have to.
There were a lot of things wrong in this relationship that I endured some pretty terrible treatment, and I might touch on some things here and there.
The relationship, she explained, hadn't started with obvious warning signs. Her partner had a habit of biting people. He described it as affectionate. According to Shelby, he had done it since childhood. His own mother apparently confirmed as much. At first, it seemed unusual more than alarming. Then it escalated.
Yeah, that is kind of weird.
I thought that it would only happen once, and he started biting me more and more over a period of time, sort of throughout the whole relationship, and accidents of him biting too hard and really hurting me happened more and more frequently.
The bites became harder, more frequent. They left bruises that friends noticed almost immediately. Shelby said he would poke at those bruises, joke about them, even laugh that it looked like he was abusing her. Eventually, they created a safe word so he would know when to stop. According to Shelby, he stopped listening to that too.
Oh,
And when I asked
okay,
him to stop again,
that's bad.
this time he said, "This is who he is. He isn't going to change."
She described saying the safe word while he continued biting anyway, grinding his teeth into her skin after she'd already told him to stop. By that point, very few people watching were still wondering who she was talking about. The biting habit had been visible for years. As viewers started comparing Shelby's account with years of old clips, the pictures came together remarkably.
Now I'm gonna be honest. I don't find the biting. I find the biting crowd really odd. But if it's consensual in a relationship, I think it's okay. But if they had a safe word and he just started ignoring the safe word as a whole, that's bad.
Quickly. Then Wilbur responded. In the past week, a series of allegations have been made over my conduct from an ex-girlfriend. I want to emphasize that although I feel it fair to offer my perspective, this person's feelings are completely valid. I've taken my time sharing this statement as I wanted to process and respond respectfully and with the hope to gain a deeper understanding for the situation. During our relationship's final months, I regrettably became slobbish, disrespectful, and selfish. These actions caused a lot of pain to my ex-girlfriend, and I've since sought therapy to address these behaviors, making significant lifestyle changes to rectify my past actions. I have come to realize how much my past behavior hurt this person, but I truly, compassionately believe I have made great strides from the person I once was, and hope I can continue to grow and improve on this trajectory. His statement confirmed what most people had already assumed. It also made the situation considerably worse.
Oh,
Rather than focusing on
brother.
Shelby, much of the statement focused on himself, his therapy, his
Oh
personal
no,
growth,
this is
his commitment
no.
to becoming a better person. The apology came later, carefully worded and heavily qualified. To many readers, it felt less like someone confronting what had happened and more like someone trying to limit the damage. Shelby, on her part, rejected that framing almost immediately. From what I understand, your slobbish, disrespectful, and selfish behavior also delved deep into emotional abuse, and the fact that you only refer to the biting as abuse and refer to it as an allegation shows you fundamentally do not understand the pain you caused.
What I endured was so much more than just slobbishness and disrespect. It's offensive to downplay it that much. And in my opinion, the most...
She explained that the issue had never been biting by itself. The issue was being hurt repeatedly, having her pain dismissed, being told she simply had a low pain tolerance, and watching a safe word become meaningless once it was no longer convenient to respect it. Other women later shared similar experiences.
I don't understand though. Why biting though? Why are you just going around biting people? Is my question. Like, what do you get from biting someone?
Last few years have been difficult, but I finally feel safe enough to speak about my experience with Wilbur. Hello, I'm Alice. I dated Wilbur back in 2019, and I want to speak out about my experience. I felt like I couldn't talk about this sooner because I was scared of his public influence and the potential backlash from fans, but now after hearing Shelby's story, seeing the support she's been shown, and admiring her bravery, I finally feel safe to break my silence on our relationship. Silently in the corner of his room waiting for him to go offline, he would say condescending things to me about my interests and the type of content I created, as if he didn't just take it, or me, seriously, and would only be enthusiastic about his future plans with music and desire for fame. I never felt like he was encouraging towards me or any of my goals, and in the last few months, he made me feel extremely unlovable and unwanted. I had suffered with self-harm tendencies in 2019, he ignored the marks on my body, and only took interest in retelling his own life struggles. I also experienced the biting habit, which has already been elaborated on by Shelby. Friends distanced themselves, collaborators quietly disappeared, the audience that had spent years building Wilbur into one of the internet's biggest creators began moving on almost overnight. Lovejoy continued releasing music, Wilbur remained online, but the version of Wilbur Soot that had dominated YouTube through the Dream SMP era was effectively over. For most people, that was where the story ended. They stopped watching, unfollowed, and simply moved on. Tyler Catastrophe did the exact opposite.
And this is the guy, Tyler Catastrophe. Oh my god! Tyler Catastrophe has a crush on. This we're starting off bad. Well, starting off, we're at 14 minutes in. This is bad. As a whole, this is just bad. And I don't know why I paused on this image.
4 months had already passed. Shelby's stream had come and gone. Wilbur had released his statement. More women had come forward. Most people had reached whatever conclusion they were going to reach and quietly moved on. Tyler did the opposite. He opened TikTok, hit record, and spent 6 minutes explaining why Wilbur Soot was not an abuser.
And as someone
But if it's okay, if it's very well known the things that he did, and even he himself, I didn't read that whole text, but this guy just said it came off as less of a apology. Like he didn't deny it at all. He didn't deny anything. He said he was slobbish in the message. I read at least that much. He didn't deny. He didn't say I'm not an abuser. He didn't say anything of the sort. So how are you going to try to justify someone's someone abusing someone when you weren't in the situation? No matter what type of abuse you went through, you can't just you can't just input your opinion over something that is completely, it's just done, it's through with. You can't just say, oh, he didn't abuse her because I've been abused, and that's not what that looks like. And I'm assuming from what I heard and from the text that's on the video right now, that is the where he's gonna go with this.
who has been abused. Kind of a lot. I'm gonna explain the difference. Because if you don't know the difference, there are a lot of people who will try to use you as a weapon against the people they don't like.
Tyler based almost his entire argument on one idea. He had survived abuse himself. Because of that, he believed he understood abuse well enough to recognize it when he saw it. So he looked at Shelby's story and decided it wasn't abuse. That's where a lot of people took issue with his video. Living through abuse doesn't automatically make someone qualified to judge another person's experience. It doesn't mean every survivor reaches the same conclusions. Tyler treated his own experience like a measuring stick. If Shelby's story didn't match his, then in his view, it didn't fit the label.
Why is this grown man posting thirst traps, bro? Okay, I have to admit my own bias. I will say this. If Tyler Catastrophe was attractive in any way, shape, or form, I would be able to understand. But in my opinion, I don't know what it is about this guy. I really don't know what it is. He just seems so off to me. I don't like looking at him. Like everything he does makes me cringe. I get such secondhand embarrassment.
The problem was that Tyler wasn't in that
Like, what is
relationship.
this?
He didn't witness what happened. He only had the same public information everyone else had. Yet he spoke with so much confidence like he was delivering the final verdict. Before the For You page collectively discovered Tyler Catastrophe in 2026, Tyler Catastrophe had already been building something. Not quietly. Quietly is not really in this person's operating vocabulary, but without the kind of audience that turns ordinary TikToks into internet discourse. The content already existed. The personality definitely existed. The millions of people who would eventually encounter all of it simply hadn't wandered into that corner of TikTok yet. Tyler Solana, a surname he chose rather than inherited, which will become relevant later, is a 27-year-old transgender artist from Oklahoma now living in Texas and, judging by a significant portion of his online presence, trying very hard not to stay there. He describes himself as a lifelong musician, a published poet, an exhibited artist, a jewelry designer, a bead worker, and generally someone with an impressive number
these
of
are
creative
so
skills.
many
That
freaking
is
hobbies.
A remarkable number of careers to fit into one biography.
Exactly.
Tyler wears every one of them with complete confidence and confidence.
You know, they do say I forgot exactly how it goes actually. Like jack of all trades, master of none. That describes Tyler to a T, in my opinion. Except, well, I'm not gonna say he's bad at art. I'm not gonna say he's bad because objectively, he's pretty good. He's not good enough, however, to sell his art. That is where he's bad. He's good as a casual artist. He's not good enough to be selling his art and charging hundreds of dollars.
As you'll notice, is a recurring theme throughout this story. The jewelry is the main business. Handmade
Right.
beaded necklaces, chokers, bracelets, and earrings sold through Tyler's online shop at prices
Yeah,
that
to
have
me,
become
those don't
almost as
even look
famous
that
as the
bad. They
person
don't
selling
look
them.
that bad,
An
honestly.
$879 necklace, a
But wait. $599.
that have become almost as famous as the person selling them.
$800, $900. Never mind. They aren't even close to that good.
An $879
Are you
necklace, a
serious?
$575 choker, one piece listed for $1,349.
Oh my
Tyler's explanation
gosh.
has never really changed. He claims the materials are high quality, the designs are original,
They're
and the skills
not.
behind them took years to develop. If you ask Tyler, the prices make perfect sense.
It is wild how wrong some of y'all are about what I do. And maybe that's because I've been downplaying it for so long. I think it's funny to oversimplify and just say I put beads on a string for a living, but this? Let's remind you who I am today, huh? The piece I'm currently wearing is $575, took 2 people, months of work, has a centerpiece sunstone cabochon, hand beaded and backed in suede, got cat's eye, dyed jade, rose quartz, carnelian, and rhodochrosite.
If you ask the internet, the answers become a little more varied.
That really pisses me off about Tyler Catastrophe is his beaded work is up to $700, right? Insane prices for a little beaded choker. And here's the thing,
Exactly.
I've seen full professional fursuit heads made by professional creators that take professional commissions for less money than that.
Tyler also paints.
I
One of the
wonder, $32,000 paint. This is exactly what I was talking about, by the way. Look at his art. Wait, did he script? Does he?
paintings in his shop is listed for
He
$32,000.
does. Okay, look at his art and be completely honest. Is this a $32,000 painting? If your answer was anything but no, you you are a questionable person. That's all I'm gonna say. I question your line of thought here. Maybe this is not a $32,000 painting. It's not. The dude that he drew looking at that mirror, it doesn't even look right. That looks like a stick figure, basically. Right? My little sister draws like 20 times better than this, and she's scared to freaking post. Well, draws. Maybe portraits are freaking different. I don't know. But this is horrible.
$1,000. It is a painting, though not a bad one. Whether it's a $32,000 painting is where the conversation tends to begin. The interesting part isn't even the price, it's how certain Tyler is that the price is correct. By this point, he seems to have reached a place where the value of his work is no longer something to be negotiated with the public. The number is the number. Whether anyone else agrees with it is almost beside the point.
Fuck that guy, it's 32,000 now.
$32,000.
Okay? Yeah, I think that's how I want to live my life now. Fuck them.
That clip explains a surprising amount of how Tyler processes criticism. It's an attitude that seems almost impossible to shake. Then you reach the
Gay.
event that reshaped Tyler's entire life, and suddenly you understand where some of it came from. October 2019 changed the course of Tyler's life. He was riding a motorcycle when it collided with an SUV. The crash shattered his ribcage. Surgeons replaced 2 ribs with titanium. Tyler said
Okay.
he's lived with chronic
That
pain
sounds
ever
that
since.
that
He
that I'll
sometimes
say
has
sounds
to
horrible.
consciously remind himself to breathe because his body doesn't always do it automatically. The accident ended his time in college, forced him out of his band, and took away the singing voice he spent years trying to recover. None of that deserves to be minimized. What becomes important
Exactly.
later
That
is how
sounds
Tyler
bad.
tells the story. In Tyler's version, the SUV driver caused the crash. The official report reached a different conclusion. People eventually located it because Tyler had publicly shared enough details about the date, location, and vehicles involved. According to the report,
Ew.
Tyler failed to yield while making a left turn and was found at fault. It also noted there was a 7-year-old girl in the SUV. Some reports also claimed Tyler didn't have a motorcycle license at the time. None of those details change what happened to his body. They do
He was
introduce
driving
something
a
that keeps appearing
motorcycle.
throughout this story.
Huh?
Tyler often tells events from a perspective where he's the person wronged. The details that complicate that version usually don't enter the conversation until someone else finds them. Now, before TikTok, there was Tumblr, and Tumblr did what Tumblr has always done. It archived everything. The version of Tyler that existed there still went by Emily and hadn't transitioned yet, but one theme showed up again and again across years of posts. Tyler had become deeply invested in the idea that people kept seeing him as the wrong race. Tyler explained this several
Oh.
times. His father, he says, is half Portuguese. That makes Tyler 1/4 Portuguese. From there, Tyler
One
arrived at the
quarter.
conclusion
Wow.
that he was white passing, which is an interesting conclusion.
Wait. If you're more white than Portuguese, I don't know. I don't know if I'm saying that right. But if you're more white than Portuguese, how are you white passing? Isn't your mom a redhead? How are you white passing if you're more white than anything else? That doesn't make any sense.
Because Portugal is in Western Europe, and Portuguese people are white. But Tyler treated this as
Oh,
something genuinely
and knowing
painful.
that,
He wrote
then
about
you are
feeling
white.
disconnected from a culture people supposedly couldn't recognize because everyone assumed he was white. Then one day, a man
But
in
you
a
are
restaurant
white.
asked if he was Mexican. Tyler said no.
I'm so confused. What is up with people and not wanting to be white? Why? Why are you afraid to be white? That alone doesn't make sense to me. Especially if you are white. Why are you afraid of yourself? Are you that insecure in yourself? You're afraid of being the race that you literally are?
Portuguese. The man replied that made sense. That interaction made Tyler's night. The man probably forgot the conversation before he got the bill, while Tyler remembered it for
Right.
years. It ended up immortalized on Tumblr as proof that somebody had finally seen him the way he wanted
Oh,
to be seen. The Portuguese
he
story
remembered
was
that,
only
didn't
the
he?
beginning. Tyler has also claimed to be 27 generations removed from King Edward I of England and Queen Margaret of France. Robert the Bruce of Scotland also makes an appearance. So does
Who
Edgar
even
Allan
is
Poe.
that?
The Edgar Allan Poe one deserves a quick pause because Poe never had
This might be shameful, but I don't even know who Edgar Allan Poe is, if I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't even know who that is. And well,
children.
okay, I'm
Neither
sorry.
did his siblings. His bloodline ended in the 19th century, which kind of makes Tyler's claim of being descended from Edgar Allan Poe difficult to map onto the existing family tree.
Right.
Family history is very large and complicated, which of course has a lot of downsides, but it does have the small upside.
I just hate the way that he talks as well. It's something about the way that he speaks that just it gets me upset. It really, really does.
Of being related to a lot of dead famous people. Edgar Allan Poe, Robert the Bruce of Scotland, and apparently my uncle is currently mapping another family line. So now I know that I'm also 27 generations descended from King Edward I of England and
Are
Queen
you
Margaret of
serious?
France, apparently.
So, at various points, Tyler had described himself as someone navigating the experience
This seems like not seems like I think that he's a pathological liar. And you want to know what the art compulsive? I don't know the difference actually. Pathological compulsive. You want to know what the horrible thing about someone like that is? They will lie, and they will lie, and they will lie, and then you will show them evidence that they're lying, and they will still like a billion people could have seen it. As long as there's sometimes as long as there is no proof to go off of, even if a billion people will say that they're wrong, they will keep lying. And then when proof does come out, they pretend as if they are the one who's being victimized. And if you're the problem, or even worse, they pretend like nothing happened at all. They try to laugh it off. And that's just that people no. Don't even associate yourselves with people like that because they will put you through it. Honestly.
Experience of being white passing because of his Portuguese ancestry. So, at various points, Tyler has described himself as someone navigating the experience of being white passing because of his Portuguese ancestry, while also tracing his family back to English royalty. Those are
Mhm.
certainly two identities to keep organized, but then the conversation moved to Oklahoma.
I was born and raised in Oklahoma, arguably the most indigenous state, and somewhere in the years of educating myself and learning the stories and the histories and finding the truths and the lies I was taught.
What?
Everything Tyler says about Oklahoma's history is true. The state has one of the largest indigenous populations.
Hey man, leave the Native Americans out of your bull crap, bro. I'm not Native American for all that I know, but I don't think they want to be involved in any of this. Not a lick of it.
Populations in the United States. The land has an extraordinarily complicated history of removal, displacement, and forced relocation. None of that is in dispute. What happened next is Tyler began describing a spiritual connection to the indigenous people of Oklahoma. He referred to their culture as ours. Eventually, he began identifying as Two
Oh,
Spirit. That is where the internet stopped nodding along. The explanation centered on an aunt who had supposedly given Tyler permission. Except she wasn't his aunt. She was a woman Tyler had met on TikTok who eventually became a friend. Auntie turned out to be honorary, not biological or cultural, just internet
oh, so
auntie.
they're not even
I
related.
refer to myself as Two Spirit as a way of honoring the weight of my own soul and the way it guides me home. With the blessing of my deadliest auntie, by the way, is something that you would consider morally corrupt. And I don't think
Deadliest
we'll ever understand
auntie.
each
What
other.
does that
The
even mean?
response from indigenous creators arrived almost immediately. Two Spirit is not a personality type, neither is it a spiritual aesthetic or label people adopt because they feel connected to the land. It's a cultural identity that belongs specifically to indigenous communities.
My people came from Nebraska and we were forcibly removed to Oklahoma. We are one of the nations that reside in Oklahoma. And I am here to tell you this motherfucker is not too spirited. Goodbye.
Tyler had also been selling jewelry as beadwork. Indigenous creators pointed out that beadwork is not simply putting beads together, it's a traditional art form with techniques, symbolism, and patterns that
Okay.
carry cultural meaning. People argued Tyler was
This is
borrowing from
another
those
thing that I have
traditions while presenting
no
himself
clue
as
about.
someone with a connection he had never been able to demonstrate. Tyler eventually backed away from the claim. He said he had posted the video in 2023, realized almost immediately that it was a mistake, believed he had deleted it, and didn't realize it was still online until people resurfaced it during the wider controversy in 2026.
So, firstly, I do not refer to myself as Two Spirit. I have mistakenly done so in the past, in 2023, I think.
And this is where all the separate stories begin to connect. Together, they paint the picture of someone who never seemed especially interested in being the person they already were. Tyler consistently
Right.
reached for an identity that felt rarer, more complicated, and more meaningful than the ordinary answer.
That's something else that I think is a problem today. Like people downright they want to have a problem just so they can be special. Like people want to be like a psychopath or odd like odd they want to be these things because it gives them some a label that they perceive that they perceive as special, and that doesn't make sense to me at all. I'll never understand that.
Plenty of people reinvent themselves online. Most do it quietly. Tyler documented the entire process and then posted it. So from here onwards, things start getting really disturbing. Because on February 27th, 2026, Tyler posted a TikTok. It was about a crush. More specifically, it was about a crush on Will Gold, better known as Wilbur Soot, that had been quietly running Tyler's
I mean,
romantic life since
we've already
2019.
talked about
According
this.
to Tyler, it started the moment he heard Wilbur laugh in the background of someone
Right.
else's video. He described the moment by saying it felt like life itself leaned in to listen.
Okay.
I have had a crush on Will Gold since 2019 when I heard him laugh in the background of someone else's video and it felt like life itself leaned in to listen.
The man wasn't even the
Right?
focus of the video. He was an ambient sound, a bit of background noise that happened to make it into the final edit. Somehow, that was enough. Enough for Tyler to decide he had found the person he'd been waiting for. And 7 years later, that conclusion has remained remarkably resistant to new information. The consequences of this,
Mhm.
as Tyler explains in the video with a funny level of self-awareness, is that he has essentially been unable to develop romantic interest in anyone else for 7 years. A terrible engagement
7
ended. One other
years.
relationship happened briefly and didn't work out.
You have had a celebrity crush. Keep in mind, someone who they've probably she he has probably never met this man in his entire life. And you have a crush on him for 7 years. Now that I don't think I heard. 7 years. Wow, bro. 7 years.
Which is really inconvenient for me because
A
I'm very much
person
a
you've
one
never
soul at
met
a
has
time
been
kind of
messing
person.
with
So
your
once I
relationship
develop a
for
crush,
7 years.
virtually no one else stands a chance ever. And at the time, I had just broken off a terrible engagement to a guy who didn't even fucking like me. And since then, I have only briefly dated one other person who was wonderful, but it didn't work out.
Multiple people have expressed
Uh-huh.
interest, but none of them stood a chance because Tyler already had someone in mind, and that someone was a musician in Brighton whom Tyler had met for 7 minutes at a concert Tyler paid to attend.
Territory. But in like the 7 minutes that we spoke to each other, one, every time we made eye contact, I thought my heart was gonna fucking burst out of my chest and fly away.
The meeting itself was exactly what you'd expect from a meet and greet. A few minutes, a quick conversation, and a photograph. Wilbur did what performers do at paid meet and greets. He was just friendly, polite, and engaged with the person standing in front of him before moving on to the next person in line. Not knowing he had just met someone would be stuck with him parasocially for the rest of whenever this would be.
Wait, I was
Someone
listening.
would be standing in front of him before moving on to the next person in line. Not knowing and engaged with the person standing in front of him before moving on to the next minutes, a quick conversation, and a photograph. Wilbur did what performers do at paid meet and greets.
Oh,
He was just
okay.
friendly, polite, and engaged with the person standing in front of him before moving on to the next person in line.
Oh, so they
Not
have
knowing he had
met,
just met someone would
but
be
only as a
stuck with him
fan, not
parasocially
personally.
for the rest of whenever this would be.
I paid to. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Yes, you are Tyler. At some point before the main controversy, Tyler made a video auditioning to become Lovejoy's second vocalist.
I don't want to
This
listen
was
to
not
this
a joke
again, bro.
initially, despite later being reclassified as one when
I
Lovejoy
really
did not
don't.
respond with an invitation to join the band. Tyler started with explaining who he is and why Lovejoy should consider him. The energy he gave is the energy of someone who has been thinking about this pitch for a while and feels good about how it landed.
Absolutely no idea if one of my favorite bands might want a second vocalist, but I do know I am crazy enough to ask. So hi, Lovejoy. Do you want a second vocalist? My name is Travis
No.
Salona. I'm 26 years old. I live in Texas, but I'm trying to move to England anyway. I'm a massive extrovert. I've been performing since I was 10, and in 2019,
Oh,
I was actually a
gosh.
semi-professional vocalist, but then had to spend almost 5 years getting my voice back after losing it completely because someone hit me with their car.
Always searching the silent time.
Oh,
How do you want
gosh.
It looks so easy. You open your hearts up so quickly it scares me. She's an artist, paints across my chest, goes to parties.
Now, this is
What are
exactly
these
where the story
facial
changes because this
expressions?
TikTok by itself looks like an unusually intense celebrity crush. When you scroll back a little, you'll find everything else that makes this guy's parasocial
It is not.
relationship disturbing.
It is not
Pointing
giving
towards
Arctic
someone who had
Monkeys, by the
spent
way.
years arranging parts of his life around a person who, in any meaningful sense, did not know he existed. England was always part of that story. Or at least Tyler says it was. After visiting in 2022, he decided he wanted to move there permanently, more specifically, Brighton, which just so happens to be where Wilbur Soot lives, an observation the internet noticed almost immediately.
If I was this Wilbur guy, I would be absolutely horrified. I would be so scared at the thought that they would move to where I live and I'd potentially run into this person. That would give me nightmares, genuinely.
Tyler noticed that people noticed, so he responded with an entire TikTok explaining why Brighton had absolutely nothing to do with Wilbur.
Love them, I adore them so fucking much. Like wanting to move to Brighton specifically when I moved to England because I love Brighton FC so much. But anyway, I'm a big soccer fan. I call it football, but we're in America and most of my following is American, so for soccer. And my main team is OKC Energy FC. Love Oklahoma, let's go. But you know what England has? Fucking Premier League, baby, let's go. But I was thinking about it and I was like, you know what? I don't have a team over there. I don't know who to root for. I should do some research. And so I did, and I think I've landed on Brighton. They're the fucking Seagulls. It is amazing. And they're 6th in the Premier, so they're doing pretty well. And they are literally the Seagulls. That's literally the best. This is the obvious one.
The football explanation became unexpectedly thorough. To be fair, Tyler does know football. He refereed for 6 years. He even has a paid membership to the Dutch national team's supporters club.
I'll have you know, I know a good soccer team when I see one, because I spent my first 18 years in and around a pitch almost every day for 18 years, playing, spectating, reffing. I was legally licensed for 6 years. I've reffed hundreds of games, so many. And I didn't get to see any Premier League games when I was in England last year, and I tried. I was very upset.
He knows enough about Brighton that accusing him of inventing the interest on the spot would probably be unfair. The problem wasn't that he liked Brighton. The problem was that Brighton happened to contain the exact person he'd spent the previous 7 years
That's definitely the problem.
Ironically, the biggest obstacle to Tyler's move wasn't immigration. It was a
like, bro, if you have somewhere you want to move, I think that's completely fine. And I think it makes sense that you know a whole lot about said place because you wanted to move there. It doesn't really click with me that this person that you have a celebrity crush on also happens to live there. That is where it's like, okay, do you want to move here because you like it or because this is where this man lives? And if it's the second option, that is beyond parasocial. That is almost stalker behavior to me.
Job that existed much more clearly in Tyler's version of events than it did in anyone else's. To help make the move happen, Tyler launched a GoFundMe. The title was Help a Disabled Trans Guy Escape Texas. The goal was $22,000.
Wow.
The fundraiser explained
You tried
that
to
an
pull all
incredible
the heartstrings
opportunity
with
was
that
waiting
one,
for him
huh?
in England, a chance to build his career and finally leave Texas behind. Funny thing is, people donated because they
By the way, what's so bad about Texas? I love Texas. I absolutely love Texas. Texas is such a good place to be. Now, I'm not gonna get too far off topic, but Texas has so much food. If you want to eat good food, go to Texas, bro. That's where you go, really.
believed that next
Where
step
I've been,
already
at least,
existed,
Texas has
but
so
it
much
didn't.
food.
The opportunity centered around British artist Stuart Semple. If you've spent
Okay.
any time around the online art world, you've probably heard the name. Stuart is the founder of Culture Hustle.
I've heard
the
this
company
from
behind some
other
of the most
videos.
famous specialty paints in the world, including the Blackest Black that kicked off an entire public feud with Anish Kapoor. According to Tyler, Stuart had offered him a job. The story, at least on Tyler's side, was simple. He visited Stuart's studio in England in 2022 and pressed everyone there and left believing he'd soon be moving back to work alongside them. That belief became the foundation for everything that followed.
Asked if I could work for him, and he said that we could figure something out. And he knew that I had a deadline to make it happen, but once that deadline started approaching, he completely ghosted me.
Tyler believed it enough to start dismantling his life in Texas. People don't usually sell off their lives because someone might hire.
It wasn't even an unpaid internship. He was half an hour. He was really lovely, I'm gonna assume he meant, and I wish him well, but sadly there was never a job offer. Certainly nothing that should have made him sell all his belongings and plan to move halfway across the world. I hope he is okay. He didn't even get a job offer, not even an unpaid internship, and he was going to he was gonna get rid of everything. He did, actually. He did get rid of his belongings. He was going to uproot his whole life to go meet with someone or to go get a job somewhere where he wasn't even offered. And his art isn't even good enough to work there, also. He's not good enough. I'm sorry to say it. Actually, no, I'm not. He's not good enough to work as an artist professionally. He's not.
Them. They do it because they're
especially with all the competition. If you're an artist out there, an actual good artist, look at what he's doing. He's selling some absolute buffoonery for five, six, $700. And I believe if he can pull it off, you can too, bro.
Convinced
You
the
can
answer's
too.
already yes. Then Stewart saw what had been circulating online. His version of events was significantly less dramatic. Tyler had visited the
Oh my
studio for about 30
god, bro.
minutes. They chatted. Then Tyler asked whether there might be work one day. Stewart replied that if Tyler ever found himself back in England, they could talk. That's it. Later, Stewart's assistant followed up and made things even clearer. There wasn't a position available. No offer, contract, or
He
job
had
quietly
the
waiting in
assistants
Brighton.
call him.
Just a polite conversation that, for most people, would have ended exactly where it happened. Stewart seemed genuinely baffled that the situation had snowballed this far. So baffled, in fact, that he
Exactly.
responded the only way an artist like Stuart Semple would. He painted it. Literally, a black painting titled "Not a Job Offer." For 3 days,
Are you
anyone who
serious?
wanted one could buy their own copy. There are cease and desist letters. There are public statements. There are apology videos.
He
Very
actually
few
did
internet
that?
dramas conclude with a commemorative artwork.
So, about these job offers, I just want to say thank you so much
Oh.
to everyone who's applied for a job offer. I'm going to be really busy painting them all for all of you, and I can't
Oh,
wait
this
to
is
see
him.
them. I'm going to switch it off tonight though, so if you do want one, don't miss out.
The reason Stewart felt like he had to step
I
in
wonder how
becomes
much
obvious
money
once he hears
he
Tyler's
made off
version,
of that.
because Tyler wasn't describing an awkward misunderstanding. He was describing a betrayal. A world-famous artist had offered him his dream job, then vanished. That disappearance had almost left him homeless. Listening to Tyler and Stewart back-to-back almost feels like hearing two people remember completely different afternoons.
Definitely justed myself.
Exactly.
I wound up blaming Stewart for a lot of things that were entirely on me.
Eventually,
Okay, is this
Tyler did what
accountability?
almost every internet main character eventually has to do. He made an apology video, 10 minutes
Okay.
long enough to address everything, short enough that some things inevitably slipped through the cracks. At this point, the situation had become impossible to ignore, and for the first time in years, Tyler was no longer controlling the narrative. The internet was.
At Reach, I made a lot more mistakes, and every time I thought it was going to be okay, something else happened.
The two-spirit section was the cleanest. Tyler
Mhm.
admitted it had been a mistake, apologized, explained how it happened, accepted responsibility. Whether people
Right.
accepted the explanation is a different question, but at least everyone was discussing the same reality.
Firstly, I do not refer to myself as Two-Spirit. I have mistakenly done so in the past, in 2023, I think, in a video I honestly thought I deleted because I realized right after I posted the video
The Wilbur section was where things became more complicated.
there was a lot of harm being done just from the communities and fandoms surrounding this. And I stayed away from anything other than Shelby's statement because with
Okay.
anything else, I just felt that there wasn't enough information and a lot of conflicting information that I didn't fully understand and didn't want to speak on because I didn't understand it. And because I saw a lot of people treating Wilbur's statement as an admission of guilt, when to me it did seem genuine and like he honestly didn't understand the extent of the harm he had done and was doing therapy and stuff to be better in the future, I felt very strongly
Okay.
about the way it was being treated from an outside perspective, and I saw a lot of uninvolved people getting hurt. And while my intention with that video was to reduce harm, I wound up letting my own perspective and interpretation kind of take over the video. Things that got left out, things that didn't need to be left in, things that should have been said very differently, and honestly, I should have just left it alone.
Because Tyler never
Okay,
really walked
that
past
is
the
true. You
actual
should have just
conclusion.
left it
The
alone.
video
You
that
should
had
not have
turned
even
him into
spoke on
one
the
of the
topic.
internet's least popular defense attorneys wasn't built around the idea that Wilbur had done nothing wrong. It was built around the idea that Wilbur wasn't an abuser. That distinction mattered enormously to Tyler, and it continued to matter during the apology. The only criticism he accepted was that he shouldn't have inserted himself into the conversation.
That's
Not
true.
that his conclusion had been, well, wrong.
Sooner. So to everyone
It was
who's
wrong,
been
though.
just trying to hold me
That is
accountable,
also true.
thank you. With everything else that was happening, most of the very valid criticisms got buried, and it all just got very away from me very quickly. So again, thank you. And while I know that there's really no one doing any of this, my platforms
Mhm.
are usually a pretty positive place. It's always just been a bunch of artists supporting each other. And while I am gonna step away for a few days to just be with my family and sort out some more personal things,
Hopefully,
Oh,
eventually, it can be that again. But for now, thank you again. And I promise I will always be the person who is open to learning
okay.
and doing better in the future. And I am incredibly sorry that I allowed myself to lose sight of that. I hope that life is kind to you. Okay, love you, bye.
And that is the end of this video. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. It means the absolute world to me. And let me know what you would like to see me react to next. Have a good day.